250 years to come. If that's who you are, you value what we value, and you right. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises in glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakakadash, and the Heavenly Father. True name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Bahashem. In the name of Hamashiach Yahushua, those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew of the Lashkadash tongue. And I say Barakatham to the elders and apostles, Akim, Akwaf, and I say Shalom. And this is a prophecy update as of May the 11th, 2026 on this Monday. Yeah, Monday night. So I'm going to go to RT.com. And it says, this is from RT.com as of May the 12th, 2026. It says, Trump considering resuming airstrikes as talks with Iran stalls. The U.S. president said that the ceasefire reached this last month was on life support. It says the U.S. President Donald Trump is considering resuming a bombing campaign again, potentially against Iran as peace talks remain stalled. Axios reports on Monday. It says citing Slovakia. It says citing that three officials are familiar with the matter. It says on Sunday, Trump rejected the latest terms on as a total unacceptable and said that the ceasefire reached around a month ago was a massive life support. According to the Nations, Trump was set to meet with the National Security team on Monday to discuss the next steps, including the potential resuming Project Freedom, an operation aimed at guiding ships through the Strait of Hormuz, as well as restarting airstrikes and hitting the remaining 25% of its targets identified by the Pentagon, but not yet scrubbed. And I believe Israel, they had the same idea as well too. Continue to potentially resume strikes against Iran and the United States as well too. It says Washington Post citing that the CIA assessment reported last week that Iran retained about 75% of its pre-war mobile launchers and roughly 70% of its missiles, and could withstand a U.S. naval blockage for at least 3 to 4 months. Trump suspended the Project Freedom within 24 hours of announcing it last week following a request from Pakistan, which has acted as a mediator in the conflict. NBC later reported that the president shelved the initiative after Saudi Arabia refused to allow the U.S. to use bases and airspaces to resort ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's top negotiator Mohammed Baghdadi got a black lead bath, if I pronounce that right. If I pronounce his name right, it says on Sunday that the U.S. has no alternative but to accept Tehran's terms. The longer they drag their feet, the more American taxpayers will pay for it, right? Especially with these oil prices and these fuel prices. It says he worked on X. The Iranian state media described Trump's demand to shut down the country's nuclear site as a non-starter that Iran has rejected for decades. According to the Press TV, Iran conditioning, including the lifting of sanctions and reparations and a new framework governing the Strait of Hormuz that will recognize Iran's sovereignty and control over its vital waterway. Right, so number 47, he's not going to agree to those demands. Let's bring up that Matthew's the matter of fact, Luke 21 verse. Yeah, we start at verse 9. It says AI summary. It says to understand Luke 21 verse 9 from the KJV, consider these key points. Yahweh Shai warned of future conflicts and disruptions, and that's what we see between Iran and Israel, and Iran and the United States on and off back and forth as of late. He emphasized that such events are not are not the signs of immediate end times. Right. Was that Matthew 24, verse 8, the beginning of sorrows, wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. The verse encouraged believers to remain steadfast in faith like the Israelites, the hopeful elect, the remnant. It says this highlights the importance of the sun in turbulent times. Right, Matthew 24, verse 8. It says Yahweh shall reserve that the occurrences are part of a larger divine plan. So we bring out verse 10. Yeah, so look up Luke 21 and verse 10. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Right, that's what we're seeing. Yahushua spoke about of the nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. That's what we're seeing. Bring out that precept in Matthew's 24th chapter. Yeah, precept by precept. Matthew's 24 and verse 6, it says, ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, right? Wars and rumors of wars between the United States and Iran over that Strait of Hormuz, Russia versus Ukraine. You know, these are prime examples that we're seeing of these modern day wars and rumors of wars. It says, ye shall hear of wars. Matthew's 24 verse 7, read that again, I'm in Slovakia. It says, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, right? Which goes to Ephesus. It says there should be signs, there should be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Right, this endemic of the H word, that H word that we're seeing supposedly took place over there a couple weeks ago, over there in the Royal Caribbean Islands, of that ship over there. And then it went from like Netherlands to Spain, France, you know, seeing all these potential cases are increasing because, you know, we're not ignorant of safe devices. But it was going to be a time that Yahushua spoke about that was going to be some famines and pestilence that were going to be taking place. This is Luke 21. Matthew 24 verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And there should be famines, right? Famines are increasing. Pestilence, right? So these famines and pestilence, definitely in particular, is going to continue to increase as we can see in earthquakes in diverse places, right? Increasing uptick earthquakes in various places and earthquakes in diverse places. Check out some more news articles. It says nearly 22 billion secret shipped to Ukraine, Australian politician reports. Let's check out the Jerusalem Post. It says Trump debates restarting freedom. It says Trump debates restarting Project Freedom as U.S. Iran impasse over peace deal. First Thessalonians. I think I mentioned that one too. It's the book of the Apostle. The Apostle Peter mentioned First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, such scourge come upon them as such very one shall not escape. Right, because biblical signs, they're going to continue to be taking place. And that's what we still see in wars and rumors of wars. You know, these war, evil, and pestilence. Like I said, in Jeremiah 20, verse 8. That's what we still see. And this is the book of Luke 21. Slovakia. This is the book of Luke 21. Slovakia. This is Luke 21 and verse 25. It says, there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, and upon the earth expressive nations will perplex the rich born. Right, so that's what we're seeing. Expressive nations will perplex the rich born. So that's going to continue to increase. And this is Jeremiah chapter 28 and verse 8. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 28, verse 8. It says, the prophets are happy before thee and before thee, O prophesy both against many countries and great kingdoms of war, evil, and pestilence. Right, so we see these war, evil, and pestilence, especially modern uptick of wars category. So now you got Nero 47. He's debating about potentially doing the Project Freedom again, and then potentially resume strikes against Iran. Now, so that shows you that Iran versus Israel that might heat back up, and Iran versus the United States that might heat back up as well too. It says Trump seriously considering resuming war after the latest Iran proposal. It says a CNN report. Now, of course, we're not gonna believe everything CNN reports. It says CNN report that the latest Iranian proposal, which Trump calls unacceptable, is pushing into a believing he must resume the war against the regime. Yeah, wars and rumors of wars. It says U.S. operation in Iran would expand beyond exotic vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, Trump says. Yeah, so these tensions might heat back up once again. Check out some more news articles. It says the Iraqi Prime Minister designed caught between U.S. endorsement and military violence report. The endorsement is contentious, and Ali Azadadi excluding Iran-backed militaries from his potential government, a move that could prompt these militaries to fight back, which they did previously. We might potentially see that once again. So, yeah, that goes into that second Edge and verse 3 and then Luke 20, verse 25. The uproars of people world. It says Israel faces Hezbollah's instruction trap on the Lebanese border. Hezbollah leader Nassi Qamsini says the organization was returning back to guerrilla warfare against the IDF, right, which they did previously. That's why tensions have been heating up ever since they extended that ceasefire 3 weeks ago. I mean, the ceasefire to last for the next 3 weeks. They're supposed to have some round of talks sometime this next coming days. So ever since then, the borders between Lebanon and Israel been heating up on both sides. Yeah, since I mentioned that second Esdras, bringing that up for edification's sake as well too, and Shalom to the Akim Akwaf. This is second Esdras, and at verse 3, from the apocryphal books of the Holy Scriptures, and it reads, it says, there shall be seen earthquakes, uproars, people war. Right, that's the key word, uproars of people war. It's going to continue to see increase. And this is the prophet Joel, chapter 3 and verse 9. So we definitely might potentially see that we're resuming escalation between Iran and the United States and the battle of the Strait of Hormuz from an economical war perspective and from a nuclear war perspective and an oil war perspective. Once that previously happened once before, it's going to happen once again. Joel chapter 3 verse 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, which are the armies of the other nations. Prepare war, wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near and come up, right? So they be gathered up over there in Western Asia. Armed God one, the army of troops being gathered over there in Bacha, what's effect? Yahweh Shabbat, which is Yahweh judgment over there in Western Asia. That's why we see in the Heavenly Father's waking up the mighty man of these armies of other nations still. Joel chapter 3 verse 10, it says, beat your plowshares and the swords and the plenty hooks and the spears, and let the weak savage groan. Right. So the battle of Strait of Hormuz potentially might heat back up once again, and resuming of war between between Iran and the United States, and the Iran against Israel once again, because those two nations are enemies anyway, so arch nemesis, both of them. It says, hey, just like what was Wolverine off of Wolverine's arch enemy, I forgot his name. That's how it is. A Detroit versus the Bulls back then. Hey, that's how Iran and Israel look each other as enemies, you know. So the Israel Defense Force and Iran, so they got bad blood toward, towards one another. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 10. It says, beat your plowshares and the swords and the plough hooks and the spears, and let the weak sound strong, right? So you're going to have the pro Iranian groups still going to rise up against the Israel Defense Force. You're still going to have Iran versus Israel, the bad blood between one another. Hey, just like that WWE pay per view back then, WWE Bad Blood. Hey, that's how it is between Iran and Israel. They got animosity, bad blood between one another. And this is this is the book of Isaiah, no, Revelations. Then I'm gonna close it out. So this was just a quick prophecy update, so I want to bring out. Yeah, it's the book of Revelations, 11 verse 14. It says, the second will pass, behold, the third will come quickly. Right, so the second will pass, behold, the third will come quickly, which is Armageddon, Armageddon 1. So with that, this was just a quick prophecy updates as of April the 11th, 2026, on this Monday night. So as I mentioned again, best believe, how the things are looking right now, it seems like most likely the scenario, if it's true or not, it seems like it might be heading towards that direction. That the battle of Spread for Moose might potentially heat back up once again, like it first started a couple months ago. Once the United States did their airstrike campaign against Iran and Israel Defense Force did as well too. So we might see that nuclear escalations might resume once again potentially. It seems like it's leading towards that directions, unless they don't have some another round of peace proposals. But as of right now, it seems like that's might not be the likelihood case. So that freedom push that Trump first started, he potentially might land towards that direction once again and resuming nuclear strikes against Iran, and Iran going to do the same thing against them as well too. And then Israel Defense Force, they're going to do that as well too. So best believe tensions going to heat back up once again over there throughout Western Asia, and that's why we see the Joel, the third chapter, is definitely in full effect as they continue to be gathered up over there in Western Asia. And once again, this is the book of Revelations on that verse 14, the second will pass, but over the third will come quickly. Right, Armageddon, Armageddon 1. So with that, as I mentioned again, this was just a quick prophecy updates as of May the 11th, 2026 on this Monday night. So with that, hopefully this was edifying. And with that, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakakadash. And the Heavenly Father, true name is Yahweh, and the Son begat the Son, Bahashem, in the name of Hamashiach Yahushua. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the Lashkadash, the Holy Tongue, and I say Barakatham to the elders and apostles, Wa'aki and Wa'akwaf. Until next time, I would say Kum Yasharala, and above all, Shalom.